Okay, today, or early this morning, we are actually out on West Lake Toho. I'm launching from the Granada Boat Launch, which is on the west side. Now, I think we've chosen probably an okay side to come out on. I think the wind's going to be mostly northern again, but it looks like I'm getting it in my face, so this might be a good sign. Lots of haze, lots of clouds earlier this morning. Just kind of hoping for a little bit more sunny conditions, and the only reason why is because this lake is kind of has a tannic stain to it. It's not as clear as East Lake Toho, and trying to figure out where these fish are, like looking for hydrilla beds in open water and stuff, is going to be a little bit more difficult. So I might be stuck to fishing edges, places like that. But I'm kind of excited to try this out on this side. Now, I've never had like an awesome day on this lake, and what's hard about this lake is because it's so large, and on top of it, it's shallow. The deepest part of this lake maybe runs about 12 feet. And the majority of this lake is between that 5 and 8 foot range. And I'm talking like the entire way out in the middle. There's some pockets of deep water, but it's kind of rare. So, this lake fishes like a swamp lake here in Florida, where you're going to be fishing isolated pads, isolated structure, pockets, that kind of thing. Or open water hydrilla beds, all that good stuff. So I'm excited to see what we can find. Let's give it a shot. This lake does get a lot of pressure, and it just got hammered by a tournament earlier this month. It was an FLW tour, and I think there's a Bassmasters tournament on here as well. I'm not sure about that one, but definitely an FLW tour event where people were pulling out 9-10 pounders consistently. So let's see if we can find anything left over. This fish should be just finishing up their spawn or moving off spawn now, and it'll be a good day. Much as I'm hoping it wasn't going to be, wind is going to be a huge issue today. It's pretty consistent. On top of that, it's producing some larger than wanted waves, let's put it that way. Hopefully it ends in the next hour or so. Right now, I'm kind of off the main part of the lake. I'm back in these little cuts and channels, kind of over this hydrilla all through here. As I paddled over, there's some pockets. Wind is probably 10 or 12 miles an hour right now. Hooked into a big fish here. Come here, stay on, lady. Stay on, come here. There we go. Look at that. Right here on the edge of these lily pads and this weed line. Oh, she's pretty beat up. Nice and heavy though, really dark in color, right there on that edge. Put you back in there. Get you out of there, girl. I threw my Senko in there. Again, what I chose to do here, let me back up just a little bit, because I want to hit that spot again. What I chose to do was to throw right in where the cover changes between the reeds and that lily pad line, and before it even would hit the water, and she boiled on it. And there might have been a second fish there because there were 2 boils, but it might have just been her. And man, give me a bit of a scare there. I turned the camera off because I wasn't sure how long it was going to take me to get this hook out. He gut hooked himself, but as you can see, minimal blood, and he's out. He wanted to go. He really hit that bait hard. But it's kind of a, actually did a really, should have just showed you how to unhook a fish that's gut hooked. And what you do is you go with the pliers up underneath the gill plate, and then you don't pull up, but you rotate the hook, and the hook will often pop out pretty easy in that soft tissue. So that fish should be okay, but my gosh, really sharp gripper teeth, ripped up my thumb there, definitely wanted to go. That was a nice chunky little one. Wish I would have got a better picture of it, but it seems like these fish are hitting non-moving baits, so I've got a stick bait on right now, just a Senko, and I'm fishing in little areas of pockets between pads and reeds and stuff, so let me back out of here and get reset and put a new Senko on, I think. So the second fish, unlike the first one, he didn't hit that bait super aggressive. He picked it up, and then I thought it was, just hung up on weeds and was getting ready to pull it through, and that's when the line pulled back. So, but he engulfed it, so he wanted it. So I think these fish, at least on this section here, because of the wind and everything, are pushed back up in here. I'm picking lanes and pockets like this to fish. I'm going to hit this little pocket right here, and I think that's where these fish are going to be kind of held up, is in between little pockets of cover to get ambushed. Don't get me wrong, I love my kayak, but the wind is so brutal today that I need to get a break out of being pushed around so much. Oh, no. He took the Senko. Alright, let's re-rig. So I watched a fish just swirl up on top of this Senko again. I think he grabbed the tail, set the hook, and he didn't have it. So what I found really useful on this lake is if you can see these really tiny pocket of grass out here. It's off the reeds here. I'm pulling my Senko through it right now. What I found really useful is if you can find pockets of that between lily pads, like look all this stuff up here, between lily pads, between reed patches. Bass right now, when they're feeding, they like to be out in there, and they will chase bait fish all through that thing. They'll use the pads, the reeds, all that stuff as ambush points to catch fish that are coming through there. Now they won't necessarily be out in this open stuff. Now there's hydrilla here, but they won't necessarily be out there on this lake, and I found a lot of them back in these pockets of these little grassy pockets and things. In fact, that last bass I caught was just in a small grassy pocket off a reed patch. Alright, well, it wasn't that bad of a day. Caught a couple fish, caught two. Decent ones too. Not huge, but pretty healthy. Looks like these fish are on this side, or at least for today, are kind of pushed up all up into cover. That's where I caught those guys, was up along the reeds and around the lily pad areas. But I'm going to fish this kind of open section here before I leave. I hit all this and hit that little pocket back there. And then I'm going to call it a day.